What's up, guys? This is Woken Stoked. Today I'm going to guide you through how to choose the right tent for car camping or overlanding. So if you're going on an on-road or off-road adventure, one of the things that you want to prepare is how you are going to sleep, because that can make or break the experience. Where do you even begin? For car camping and overlanding specifically, you have the largest range to choose from. You can go with ground tents, an in-car bed, or rooftop tents. Now before we get into it, I just want to say thank you for tuning in. We hit 100 subs last week. Oh, that is amazing. I know, it's not a lot, but baby steps, right? So thank you for subscribing, and if you haven't already, hit me up with a sub and a like, and I'll thank you with a continuous flow of informative camping videos. Alright, let's get started. I've structured this in the most efficient way possible to help you save time when you're trying to decide what sleep setup to go with. We're going to go in this order: integration, cost, comfort, safety, ease of use, and size and weight. Integration. Can your car support any of these sleeping setups? Ground tents, that's a no-brainer. I'm going to say that every single car can support your packed up ground tent. For in-car beds, right off the bat, if you have a sedan or a smaller vehicle, I don't know that it's going to work out that well. Typically, these setups are more for SUVs, crossovers, vans, wagons, or soccer vans. For rooftop tents, your car needs to have a roof rack, and that roof rack needs to be able to handle a dynamic load of the weight of your tent, which means when the car is in motion. If your car doesn't currently have a roof rack, that's okay, you may still be in luck. It may just be that that model didn't specifically come with a rack, but they do have mounting points that are hidden away with plastic covers. Check with your mechanic or your dealership and find out. Next, the cost. What can you afford? When looking at these three options, I'm going to go ahead and lump ground tents and in-car beds into the same category as low-costing options. The most basic ground tents start at under $100, so that's an easy entry point for those looking to get into it right away. You can find these tents usually at your local Walmart. In-car beds can be as simple or as complicated as you want them to be. Realistically, you only need a level sleeping surface, some pillows and blankets, and you're set. You can find cheap foam mattresses at Costco or Walmart for under $100 that you can line the back seat with, and you can maybe use a sheet of plywood and a couple of 2x4s to build yourself a frame for the bed and have storage underneath. Rooftop tents cost the most money. To enter this space, you're looking at about $1,200 for a soft shell rooftop tent, or about $2,000 for a hard shell rooftop tent. Now, after having a good understanding of what you can and cannot afford, let's dive straight into comfort. For comfort, without hesitation, I'm going to go ahead and say the rooftop tents. It's the closest thing that you can get to a comfortable bed because these rooftop tents are purpose-built with that in mind. If you haven't yet, hit the link here to check out the review of my James Baroud hard shell rooftop tent. Coming in right behind rooftop tents is your in-car bed. Now, these can vary depending on the size and the shape of your vehicle, but if it's large enough to mimic an actual bed, then it should be pretty damn comfortable. And finally, we have the ground tents as the least comfortable. Campers typically bring with them air mattresses or air mats to use in ground tents. In my opinion, using a foam mattress is a little more comfortable than an air mattress, so if you're looking for more comfort and you have the room, maybe bring a foam cot for your tent. Anyways, aside from that, you have to locate a flat surface for your tent to be set up on. Perfectly level surfaces may not exist in every single campsite, so that can be a hit or a miss. And so with all those factors grouped together, I would say that ground tents are the least comfortable. Alright, let's go into safety. Hands down, the safest option is definitely the in-car bed because you're locked in your car. Nobody can touch you. Not even a bear, not even Slender Man, not even Jesus. The only scenario that I would see this as being unsafe for you is if Godzilla picked your car up and threw it in the ocean, or if you're lactose intolerant and your buddy tricked you into eating a bar of strong cheddar. Second comes the rooftop tent, where you're safe from most wildlife because you are up and off of the ground. I haven't heard any stories of bears climbing up on top of rooftop tents just to get at humans, unless they were provoked or someone was having a major feast in their rooftop. But aside from being off the ground, all that's separating you from the outside is just a zipper and a piece of fabric, so you're not safe from your buddy's pranks. Finally, it's the ground tent. These tents are the most susceptible to wildlife, flooding, or tampering of any kind simply because it's so accessible. It's just there. So to keep the visitors away, make sure to pack all your food into the car at night, have some sort of protection with you, and blast Nickelback all throughout the night. Kidding, I love Nickelback. I am serious. Okay, sorry for the joke, Nickelback. So, ease of use. This is probably the heaviest category here. For ease of use, hardshell rooftop tents take this category. Hardshell rooftop tents typically can be set up in under a minute. On the inside, there is usually enough room for you to store your pillows, your bedding, and any other things that you would keep with you when you sleep. Once you pop it up, it's all there. With the way that these hardshell rooftop tents are constructed, you can pack it away even while it's raining, and the waterproof fabric should keep all of the rainwater out, keeping the inside nice and dry. This is a beautiful thing. Ranking closely to the hardshell rooftop tent is the soft shell rooftop tent. You can still store your pillows and your bedding into the tent, but I would avoid putting anything in there that cannot be crushed, since it does fold to stow away. Since the soft shell rooftop tents are like a traditional tent, depending on what you have, it might take between 5 to 10 minutes to fully set up. And this is because of all the different window flaps and things that you want to prop open. If you're packing one of these things away while it's raining, or if the outside is wet, since the design of it is that it folds into each other, you're most likely going to get things inside wet. So if you're keeping your pillows and your bedding in there, that stuff is all going to get wet. At some point later in the day, you're probably going to want to open that thing up to air it out and have it properly dry before you close it back up again. This is where having a soft shell rooftop tent can be a little bit frustrating if you have to be on the road every single day. In-car beds. Now, in-car beds would have ranked right beside the hardshell rooftop tent if it wasn't for one very important thing: how much space it takes up in the back of your vehicle. Therefore, the design of these things is a very important consideration. Since this is something I cannot control, it is up to you to make this as user-friendly or as frustrating as you want it to be. Yes, in-car beds are arguably easier to use than rooftop tents simply because all you have to do is open the trunk and boom, bed. But if you are going camping, you're most definitely going to need that trunk space for all your other things. Therefore, you should take the time to design something that is efficient and will be able to maximize the space in the back of your car while giving you a comfortable sleep setup. If you're just going to be using your car as a weekend camper and you have no plans of doing any sort of design for a sleeping setup in the back, then that is where this will rank in the middle of this category. Simply because before you get to sleep, you're going to have to move all your stuff out of the way. And then when you get onto driving again, you're gonna have to move everything back into the trunk. Finally, the one with the most variables and ranks the lowest in this category is the ground tent. In the previous two options, you don't need any extra ground space other than what is occupied by your car. For ground tents, aside from what's occupied by your car, you're going to need to find a specific space to set up and pitch your tent. So, depending on what spot you choose to sleep at, this could be very easy or this could be very difficult. If you're on a big road trip, you're pretty much going to be bound to the wilderness, simply because you can't just drive into a city and pitch a tent wherever you want without law enforcement being up your alley. With the previous two options, if you find that you do need to stay in the city overnight, you can just pull up to a Walmart and use their parking lot to stay. Yes, pretty much all of the Walmarts across North America allow campers and RVs to park and stay overnight. But I would just call to make sure just in case. Additionally, the setup of these tents can take you between 10 minutes for smaller tents and even 20 minutes for the gigantic tents. So with all of these factors in consideration, that is why ground tents would be ranked in the lowest of the ease of use category. Size and weight. Now, I put this at the very end simply because it is not the most important thing when it comes to deciding what to use when you are car camping. On the flip side, if you're doing interior backcountry camping or doing long overnight hikes, this would be probably one of your most important considerations. For size and weight, ground tents take this category. They are the lightest and the smallest of the three. If you have a small car, look no further than ground tents to help you maximize the space that you have in your vehicle. Next on this category would be the in-car bed. To make this in-car bed right, you're probably going to need to set up a board and a frame of some sort to help you maximize your storage and to make everything pack up properly. And with that in mind, it is not too heavy, but also not too light. So it ranks in the middle. And coming in at the largest and heaviest, you've guessed it, are the Rooftop Tents. These things come in at about 150 pounds and above. They are no joke to lug around. So if you're concerned about fuel economy or the ability to fit into underground garages, then you may need to give these tents a little more thought. Now let's summarize everything that we just went over. Ground tents. They work with any car, they're your cheapest option, they're lightweight, and they pack away small. However, they are the least comfortable of these three options. They're prone to flooding, wildlife, and intruders, and they have the longest setup and teardown time. Plus, you're gonna have to pre-plan a location to use your tent. In-car beds. They are also a relatively cheap option. If designed properly, they can result in a comfortable and an easy-to-use setup, and they provide the most safety when you sleep. However, as I said before, you must put some time into designing this properly. Otherwise, it's gonna be a mess. Also, your car needs to be large enough for you to be able to sleep in the back. And finally, although it is lightweight, it does take up a lot of room inside of your car. Rooftop tents. These things provide you with the most comfort. Hard-shelled rooftop tents are the easiest to use, and they keep you relatively safe because they keep you up and off of the ground. However, your car must be able to support a roof rack, and your roof rack must be able to support your rooftop tent. They are large and they are heavy, and they're also the most expensive option out of the three, about 10 times as much. And soft-shell rooftop tents, although relatively easy to use as well, lack the ability to pack away properly in adverse conditions. So that's it. That's anything and hopefully everything that you wanted to know about sleeping setups when car camping or overlanding. If you think I missed something, drop me a comment below and I'll get back to you. If you found this video useful, hit me a like and subscribe, or leave me a comment below so I know that what I'm pumping out is useful to you guys. That's it for now. Stay safe and have fun out there.